All right, good morning, guys. Today is the first day of September 2023 on a Friday, and as usual, doing analysis for US 30, gold, and EU. So one of the major news that came out of the markets yesterday was out of the prop firm industry was MFF being frozen by the Canadian and American authorities. We don't have too many details on what happened. But of course, this means that anybody that had challenges or even live accounts, they cannot access those accounts anymore. So right, even for me personally, I did have live accounts with them and with some profits in there. I'd withdrawn my larger payouts last week. But right, I still have profits with them in some live accounts. But as much as this is terrible, I don't like, even right now, I don't like reading into it too much until I think the next court date is September 11th. So that's when we'll get some more information. But there's only so much you can do at this point. And I like to think of it similar to trading. And Desire put it right yesterday when he put it in a Discord. Nothing in this life is guaranteed, right? So there's other prop firms out there. And one good thing about trading, like even for me, I have multiple accounts with different prop firms. But if you think of it similar to trading, right? Similar to when you take a loss, if you keep thinking about it too much, it might affect your other accounts, it might affect your trading. And one thing I really like about what we've been doing here is that we've been learning, right? So as much as they can take out one prop firm, there's still other prop firms out there. But so long as you still keep your knowledge, so long as you've been learning, it doesn't matter whether, even if they take off all prop firms and you're able to build a small live account, they can never take away your knowledge, right? So whether it's a prop firm, whether it's a personal account, what matters in this game is your skill, is your knowledge, right? Just to give you an analogy, if you guys remember, I think it was the first Iron Man movie by Tony Stark. So when he was kidnapped in the Middle East, and then he was kept in a cave, and then when he was in the cave, right, he didn't have access to his money, he didn't have access to all of his technology and all of that. So he ended up actually building his first Iron Man suit in a cave and built it using scraps, right? So he was in an environment where he didn't have access to his money, to his resources, but because he had the brains and the knowledge to build things, he built his suit out of scraps, and he was able to escape. So it's similar to that, right? So even though they take away the prop firms, one thing they can never take away is your knowledge of trading. So if anybody has any questions regarding the MFF situation, I mean, you can go ahead and ask, but of course, right, I have as much information as you guys, and I really don't focus on that. If you focus on it too much, it might just mess up your psyche. Anyway, going back to what we have. So this morning, I took this gold trade right here. So as you guys know, I always start with my daily bias, right? So daily bias for me, gold bullish. Sorry, US 30 bullish, gold bullish, EU bullish as well, DXY bearish. Now, knowing that, right, all I do nowadays is I go ahead and mark the double, at least a double SAR zone, either on the 4-hour and 1-hour, and this is why you see all these highlighted zones in the green, right? So knowing that this morning for US 30, I didn't have any confirmations. So you can see here, yes, we did have a candle closing above. I don't know, I think this was NFP. Yeah, for US 30, didn't have anything. Gold, we did have something here before NFP. So if I go back to gold right here, this was gold. So here I had highlighted this double SAR zone right here. So this first hourly candle, it broke above, so that's the break candle. Then the next hourly candle, let me go back to that. The next hourly candle closed above as well. So this is the break and continuation. So what are the trade requirements? Trade is valid or not. So this was based off of the SAR. I identified my risk per trade. I told you guys yesterday, I've increased my risk per trade to 0.75 from 0.5. So right now I'm risking 0.75 for trades that are in the direction of bias. Nowadays, I don't really trade against the bias per se, because I've already marked up the potential entries on US 30, gold, and EU. So if I don't get a trade in one thing, I'm probably going to get a trade in the other. So here I came, I saw break, I saw continuation, and then I entered. Actually, I didn't get the perfect entry. By the time I was seeing the trade, price was a bit above here. So my entry was actually above here. The other thing I told you guys, during heavy news like NFP or FOMC, check the crosses indicator and check what the last signal was or is. So for example, today NFP was 8:30, and I remember this in the past because I've noticed this for the last few months, but in some months I normally forget. So check what the last signal was or is before NFP, before FOMC. So if I turn this on right here for US 30, the last signal was a buy. If you go on gold as well, the last signal before what is it? Before NFP right here was a buy. So that's one thing I've noticed. You can check like the last signals before heavy news like FOMC and NFP. And if it's in the same direction, like for me nowadays, since I'm only trading SARs, if I saw that this was a buy, it also gave me additional confluence. So that's something I've noticed even for the last few months, that if the last signal before news on the crosses indicator on the 15-minute time frame is a sell, whether it's an original cross sell or buy, whether it's a secondary buy or sell, a good amount they normally go in that direction. So looking at that, because even for me, I don't like trading before heavy news. But when I saw that the last signal on gold was a sell and gold had given me an entry on the SAR, that's when I entered this trade. I actually entered it a little later, like a bit, like maybe half 5 pips later, and you can see when NFP came, literally short all the way up. So that's how I was able to make this trade right here, this profit right here. So it was risky because it was before heavy news, but one of the major reasons I entered it, other than it being a break and continuation of a double sell, double buy sell, was this one, was the crosses indicator right here. The last one was a buy. Anyway, let me know if you guys have any questions on that, but that's how I entered that trade. Now here we have trades lining up. EU, my daily bias, this closes in 15 minutes, but here, this is a buy lining up. Break and so same thing that happened with gold, right? US 30 and gold, US 30, I'm sorry, US 30 and EU are lining up with the same entry that I entered with gold. Break and continuation of a double SAR zone. So we need this hourly candle to close. I don't think I'm going to trade anymore today. It's a Friday. So, but the best thing with a Forex pair is that your stop loss, because FX pair I normally do like 25 pip stop or 30 pip stop. So if this does give an entry, this the stop might be well far away. Also here, gold is sort of giving a test and rejection, if you guys can see, right? So the previous candle testing this zone, this candle is currently rejecting, but let me first mark this up. So this is one for EU, but we need this candle to close above that zone. If it doesn't, so that's why even for me, like this week, we've taken what? This is my third trade. So we took a win on Monday, we took a win on Tuesday, no trades, this one and this one. I won't count today's trade that I took personally as a win for us because I didn't send that out. But anyway, so this is one trade for EU, but we need, actually, this is a triple SAR. We need EU, we need this hourly candle to close above here. So that's one. The other trade is the same thing, but for US 30. So we'll see whether this get validated. Right here. So if you're ever in doubt about what trades I'm taking, just look at what the daily bias is and mark up at least double SARs on the 4-hour and 1-hour. And so long as that trade is not falling between 3 p.m. and 11 what is it? 3 p.m. and 11 p.m. Eastern time, I will take that trade. So you can see it doesn't always happen, right? But when it happens, that confluence is nice and goes into profit. I know, like on Monday, when was it? Monday we got faked out of a US 30 trade. It was a trade idea. But if you start trading like this, you'll definitely have fewer trades. But if you mark it up, the other thing I'm trying to think about, so think of if you guys have full-time jobs, so think of if trading was your full-time job, right? Just think of it that way. Even though you have a full-time job right now, just what if trading was your full-time job? Would your current trading style sustain you for a month, sustain you for 3 months, sustain you for 6 months, sustain you for a year? So that's another thing that I'm thinking about as I'm trading nowadays. Like, if I want this to be my full-time gig, is how I'm trading right now going to sustain me for the next 10 years, the next 5 years? And then what that tells me is that every single trade that I will take needs to be a valid trade. Every single trade that I take needs to have a TP and stop loss. Every single trade that I take will need to have a, what is it called? We need to have a proper risk. So that will tell me that if I find myself FOMOing, I'll be like, hey, maybe you're not ready to go to do this full time. If I'm trading a lot during the day, and maybe it's not working out for me, it will tell me, hey, you need to reduce the amount of trades that you're taking. So which is why for me, you'll find me, like, I haven't traded the last 3 days. So you'll find me, unless a trade matches with this zones that I've drawn here and I get 2 candle closures, that's the only time I'll take a trade. And then I ask myself, okay, if I'm trading once a week or twice a week and I'm making 6% just by trading twice a week, can that sustain me in the long run? And the answer for that is yes. So that's another thing I've included in my psychology of trading nowadays. But anyway, so let's see whether we get this. If gold retraces up and closes above here in the next 10 minutes, that will be a what is it called? That will be a test and rejection entry as well. So we'll see. So this might invalidate. So based off of this heavy selling pressure that's around here, it might invalidate any sells, which is good. So that's another good thing about waiting for those 2 candle closures. It will just be telling you, just wait until I give you that confirmation. And definitely every time that I've found myself, like even yesterday, to be perfect, like yesterday with EU, I actually jumped in early right here. I jumped in early. I was just a small fill a lot, but I jumped in early because I was expecting a test and rejection here, and my bias was actually maybe not there. I think it was here. Yeah, I think maybe it was, yeah, it was actually here. I was expecting a test and rejection on this, so I was just like a small filler trade. I didn't go in with a big lot size, but then I got stopped out of that trade. And what that told me was that, look at what happens when you don't follow your own rules. So I was trying to front run. Even though it was a filler trade, I was trying to front run and try and get my feet wet just to be in a trade. But then, right, even though it was a filler trade, I ended up just closing out in a, it was like a $5 loss or something. But anyway, what that told me is that, look at what you're doing. If that was a big average lot size, you could have lost, like, and nowadays I'm risking what, 0.75, you could have lost 1500 just by not following your own rules. So it was like a message the market was giving me that, look what happens when you don't follow your own rules. So that's why nowadays, unless I get that confirmation, I will not enter that trade. And you can see how gold is heavily dipping. And this is, so we have 8 minutes. So unless in the next 8 minutes, this candle reverses, which will mean that it will give us a heavy wick to the downside and show us that there's a lot of buyers here. That's the other thing. During this trade in the morning, remember, I always tell you guys that wicks always give you a story. So if you look at this wick right here, it wasn't a wide wick or something. It was like 9 pips or whatnot. Was it 9? Yeah, about 9 pips. But this wicks right here in the direction of your bias or in the direction of your trade, they tell you that, hey, there are buyers or there are sellers that are pushing price in one direction or the other. So like what is happening with EU right now, this wicks at the top are telling us there's sellers sitting here. So probably right in the next 7 minutes, this candle will not close above here, which in which case this trade will be invalid for us, and then we'll have to wait, or personally, I will have to wait for 2 other candles to come back up there. But given that it's a Friday, I'm not surprised that there's a lot of manipulation or selling pressure with these instruments right here. And you can see for US 30, we have a wick to the top, and then we have a wick to the downside. So that's telling us, right, there's both buyers and sellers that are supporting price. And also looking at where US 30 is on the daily, based off of the daily SAR, it's literally at that daily SAR zone. So let's see what happens in the next 7 or so minutes. Let me know if you guys have any questions. I don't think these trades will validate. If they don't, that will be it for me for the day, and then I'll just wait for next week. Also watch gold at 1938. We might get also a test and rejection. So this is the best thing about highlighting your zones. You highlight your zones and then you observe what price does in those zones. I was hoping gold did a test and rejection early this morning, but it only tested once. It rejected on a candle that wasn't the immediate following candle. So you see it did a test here. The rejection came like 2 hours later. So you want 2 candles that are doing test and then the next candle doing that rejection. So I was hoping to also catch gold from the bottom down here, but I didn't get 2 consecutive candles giving me a test and rejection. Yeah, so just stick to make your rules and stick to them. That's why I was even thinking of this earlier today. I'm like, literally for the last 3 months, I haven't entered a trade without a stop loss. All my trades always have that TP and stop loss, and that has definitely improved a bunch of my trading. All right, so we have 6 more minutes before this closes. So the only one I see validating here is US 30, because gold is so far down. They would have to pump up gold for 40 pips in the next 5 minutes. So I don't know if that's going to happen. If that happens, then gold is going to go heavily bullish. EU as well, it would mean they pump up EU 10, 15 pips. So about 15 pips in the next 4 or 5 minutes. So yeah, but even for this US 30 trade, given the time of the week, I think it's just better to call it a day or a week. If it validates, I'll probably use a 0.125. So like a very small risk, given that it's Friday and given some of this huge wicks we are seeing on either side. Let's see, what's 0.125? So 0.125 of a 200K account is, so this is even less than a filler trade. So that's 250 bucks. So 200, risking 250 to make 500. So we'll see if this validates. Also, you guys can see I've started, I don't use the trend lines as much anymore. One of the reasons, I read this somewhere, that as you keep trading and getting more profitable strategies, your charts start being less and less cluttered, or you have fewer and fewer items on your charts. So given that I'm only trading SAR right here, and I'm not really tying it to any other strategy, I'm not tying it to order blocks or even trend lines, I'm just focus. Actually, even right now, I'm mostly focusing on 1 hour and 4 hour charts. I rarely use this 5 minutes, unless I'm waiting for a retracement, which I come to the 5-minute time frame. But most of the time, this is actually my default chart that I'm trading with, either on the 1 hour time frame or the 4 hour time frame. So let's see, so for me, I'll enter, and this will be an official trade. However, I will risk 0.125%. Given that it's Friday, if it was a Monday, I would have gone in with a standard lot size, but I don't, it's a Friday, so I just want to be safe, and I'm already up nicely for the day. So just keep that in mind if you're going to enter that as well. So I'd rather this US 30, I want my stop loss to be below this zone right here. So I want US 30 to come back down in the next 2 minutes, but close above this SAR, this double SAR zone. Okay, gold is, you see how they're bringing back gold up? So gold might actually close above that double SAR. So if it does do this, this will be a test and rejection, because this candle tested this double SAR zone, and then this one is a rejection candle. EU might also be giving us that entry. So the question is, which one would be sufficient? All right, so let me take off the one I took. This will be a test rejection. What are you guys thinking? What are you guys seeing on the charts right now? Because literally it looks like all of these instruments are going to give us an entry. So the question is, which entry will be better? But definitely for gold, I would say if you take gold, make sure your stop loss is below that previous wick. So make sure if you take this, make sure stop loss is below here, because so that's 30 seconds. I don't think EU will validate. I don't think gold will validate. Let's see, it's 20 seconds. So this is the one that might validate. So keep in mind here, you want your stop loss. I'm using a 50. Again, this is a 0.125. So I'm not risking, it's not gonna mess me up. But ideally, right, red flag here. For this trade, if it was as much as it's a 0.25, I'll wait for the entry here, because I want to follow my rules, right? The rules are, you want your stop loss at the very least to be below the SARs you're trading. So for me, for my stop loss to be below, as much as I'm risking 0.125, I don't want to have an 80 pip stop. It's a Friday. I want to be out of this trade real quick. So what I'll do, I'll wait for price to retrace down. So let me wait for price here.
It's news right now too. Forgot.
ISM PMI. Okay. So I will wait for this trade. Let's see. And then I'll go down to the 5 minute. As much as it's a 0.125 again, right? It's not gonna break my bank, but even in filler trades, because if you start messing up your entries or breaking your rules, even when you're risking 0.1%, you're gonna break your rules while risking 0.7 or 0.5. So I'll wait for that on the 5 minutes, and then I'll see right there. So the trade is validated, but waiting for that entry on a lower time frame, on the 5 minute or on the 1 minute. So you can see this EU did not validate, so that's gone. So the next trade EU can give you is a test and rejection of this double SAR, which means you have to wait for 2 hours. Gold did not validate as well. The rejection candle did not close above the double SAR, so this is invalid. The next trade gold can give you is either test and rejection of this triple SAR zone, so which means you need to wait for 2 hours. US 30 is the only one that validated. So this one, waiting for a 5-minute entry or an entry on the 5-minute. And here, look at this wicks right here, telling you there's definitely buyers down here. Unless we have a huge bearish candle that breaks and closes below here, this is telling you that we have buyers sitting here. And this one, compared to gold and EU, if you look at gold and EU on the daily, US 30 is the one that's close to the daily buy SAR. Gold is so far away. So that's why you can see some of this heavy moves back down. And that's why you can see US 30 is resisting the move to the downside, because US 30 on the daily, it's literally at the buy SAR on the daily. But gold and EU, yeah, they can easily manipulate this back all the way to 1902 or 1920 area, because it's so far away from here. But the best thing with US 30 is that prices around the daily buy SAR that give us the daily bullish bias. So here I'll keep going down. So you see, we have a bunch of buyers here. Second. I'll wait on 5. One minute. Okay, so I will enter this 0.125. So it's just a filler trade. 500. I'm entering on the 1 minute. What I was looking for was this one to the left right here. This one to the left right here. So yeah, definitely 5 minutes safer, but still I'm not breaking any rules because I'm using this one. I'm using the current or the live one or the most recent one. So this one to the left right here, this candle broke and closed above. This next candle retested and closed above as well. Again, 0.125, given that it's a Friday, just testing that out. 50 pips stop, 100 pips TP. And since this is a 200K account, 0.125, I'm only risking 250 bucks. If this trade wins, I make 500 bucks. So to me, that's a good risk to reward right there. Now, if you look at the 5-minute candle, if this closes, it will close as a bullish hammer candle. If the 5-minute candle closes as, so right, look at all these wicks. So that's another thing you can add to your confluences. Are there any wicks, and are the wicks telling, what story are the wicks telling me? So here, this is telling you we have a bunch of buyers right here. So always ask yourself, are there, you can put it as a step in your confluences. Do we have any wicks that are present? If so, what are the wicks telling you? So if the wick is on the top, it's telling you that we have a bunch of sellers. If the wicks are coming from the bottom, it's telling you we have a bunch of buyers there. Yeah, so gold, EU invalidated. This one as well is gone. Only thing we have is this. So let's see how this goes. Depending on how this goes, so whether it's a stop loss or TP hit, that will be it for the day. This was just filling out the entry. Okay. What else? Yeah, so gold maybe in the next hour, EU as well might give a test and rejection entry right there. This volatility is starting to die down. I only have $40 profit right now. So I'm floating between 40, 38. Just need a nice push up. There it is. Nice. So we are still, even on the 5-minute, we are still getting those long wicks right here. So that's still good. We need to close like above this higher high right there. So that's the trade on the 5-minute. Also, this was the trade on the hourly or somewhere right there. I think, yeah, 866. There goes, she's pumping. There it is. Almost at a 1:1. We should get a pump. Come on, let's go. Yeah, we need this minute candle to close above there. Should hopefully get a pump up. There it is. Come on. Nice retest of the higher high. Switch back above. There it is. Come on, pump. Nice. So you have that perfect break and retest of a structural area, high. It's pumping up. I'm almost at a 1:1. Come on. So if it were other days of the week and not Friday, I would have entered this with normal risk, but yeah, you also need, okay, so we are at a 1:1 risk to reward. So I am at so this should be at break even, right? Yeah, let's see. 50 pips. Okay, I guess I got a earlier entry. So if the trade gets here, then that will be the 1:1. But personally, I think I got filled in earlier, but let's see if it gets here to the one I've marked up. So anyway, let's see how it goes. I'm guessing on the 5-minute, maybe it has formed that SAR that I was waiting for. Yeah, so right now it's when it's forming. So if I was waiting on the 5-minute, you can see my trade would still not be active. So that's why once you're waiting for these retracements, you have to make a decision on, are you going to enter on the 5? Are you going to enter on the 1-minute? So that's when you make that decision. So always do your, so long as you're not FOMOing or you're not breaking any rules, always make sure that you're waiting for those 2 candle closures. So even for me on this 1-minute, I looked at this live one. So the most recent one, which was right here to the left. So we are already at a 1:1. So if you're in this trade with me, go ahead and set break even or secure some, or given that it's Friday, you can even take the whole profit if you want, but I will move stop loss to break even. And my stop is at break even right now. Perfect. So this should be at break even. This is what time is it? 10:14. Right, so if we go to the 5-minute, you'll see the importance of looking at wicks right here. So this is telling us that this right here, we have a bunch of buyers that are propping price up. See what's happening with the other things. Yep, tests. So test is currently happening on both EU and gold. Wait, what's that? Still in this, volatility is down. And this thing is too slow. And yeah, I think we'll call it a week. So I'm at break even for this one. It's just moving too slow for me. And I have something else to take care of in a few. Yeah, but if you guys are in this, you should be in profit. You should be at break even, and hopefully it goes up straight into profit. And gives us like a 0.25. So 0.25 on a 100K account, that's $250. On a 500, I'm sorry, on a 100, it's 250. On a 200, it's $500. So not bad for like a low risk trade. So we'll see how that goes. Do you guys have any questions? All right, perfect. If not, I'll talk to you guys next week. Happy trading. All right, bye guys.